Hey everybody, it's Dottie here for another Metaphysics and Makeup where we get weird. Basically everything that Bailey Sarian doesn't talk about, we talk about over here. For those of you who don't know, I am Dottie. I am the brightest star, and let's get into it. So today, first off, it's coming right off the dome, because, yeah. But there's some things that are going on in the spiritual community that I really want to talk about. And this is no offense to anybody, and if you get offended, then bless. I ain't got time for it, plain and simple. However, there are some things that I've been noticing that are really bothering me. And the first one that I really honestly want to talk about is the fact that the way that men are looked at in the spiritual community, at least from what I've seen from spiritual whatevers, there's a lot of hate towards the male species, and I don't quite understand it. But this also comes from someone, I should also probably state, if you don't know, now you will know, Dottie's not a feminist. So I don't subscribe to the whole Euro-eccentric, because it is Euro-eccentric. It's not a view that people who have color that runs through their bloods really suffered from until we had to deal with the Europeans. Is basically this idea that women are suppressed, because all over the world, in countries where there's melanin, women have always been seen as head of the household, basically. Like, women have always ruled. They've always had a strong pillar, and they've always been a strong pillar in their community. Honestly, the whole idea behind having a male-female counterpart, whatever, is basically that men are supposed to provide structure while women are supposed to provide the spirituality. They're supposed to be the ones who are the spiritual pillar in the home, where men are the actual pillar of the home. They're the ones who provide structure. I've heard it said many times that basically men are the ones who actually raise children. And I know it sounds kind of like, what do you mean, Dottie? I'm the one with these badass kids all day. Yeah, you might be the one with the badass kids, but a man's actually supposed to lay down basically the rules. Like, this is how our household is run. And then a woman is supposed to come in and be like, okay, this is how we do it. This is how we make sure that, whatever. And I know, unfortunately, there's like this whole backlash on basically being able to allow a man to be a man and to allow him to lead. And I can understand we don't necessarily have the most manliest men in this world today, unfortunately. But where do you think this comes from? This literally comes from us not having men around. I'm just being honest. And women having to step into their masculine energy. Men and women both have masculine energy. Don't get that twisted, because in all actuality, I know I have the heart of a 50s housewife. Like, I just want to cook, clean, and do all the things all the time. Like, that should be my role in any relationship that I'm in. Like, but I also know that I have the drive of a man in corporate America. Like, don't even play. I will get it done. My hustle is strong. It runs in my family blood, and I don't play. Okay? So, but at the same time, women shouldn't have to live in this masculine energy. But the only way that we can actually fix this issue is if we take and stop creating division between men and women. Unfortunately, once again, Euro-centric views, because if you were to go back and actually look at like the beginning of feminism and all the things, you would see that it wasn't really about melanated people at all. And honestly, it was basically used to tear apart the strong Black people. Because if we had continued the way we were, being the strong pillars that we were, that we would have taken over, we would have taken back everything that was ours. Because whether we want to believe it or not, a lot of us aren't from Africa. That's not where our roots actually come from. A lot of our roots come from these Native American tribes. Just saying. But then a lot of the Native American tribes don't even want to accept us. However, that's another thing, right? Is that we need to stop putting race into everything. I feel the way I feel because I'm a Black woman, and in all actuality, I love Black people and I want the best for them. However, if we continue to bash and put down people and to basically say, oh, well, you did blah, 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 and yada, 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 and push the views that they want us to push, we will get no further than what we are. That is literally stopping us. That was what we were supposed to do back in the 60s, back in the 70s, and we did it. That's why a lot of us are able to live in the types of freedom that we have now, where we can actually voice what it is that we have to say, where we can actually stand up for what it is that we believe in. However, we can't get stuck there. And that's unfortunately something that some of these movements that have came out recently have got us stuck in. This mentality of, oh, the colonizers, or whatever the fork it is that people want to say nowadays. I really don't have time for it, because in all actuality, I'm actually here to do the thing. I'm not here to sit here and bash anybody or put anybody down. Like, I really don't care. We all have our own thing. We all have our own views. I just think that we would be a lot better is if we stop blaming everybody for everything and take accountability. And I feel like in the spiritual community, that's something that's being missed. Like, even when people do shadow work, like if you were to read my shadow work book, I literally take and deduce things. Like, this situation happened. This is how it made me feel. This is what it is that I think now that I observe how it is that this has made me feel. And doing that, I feel so much better. I don't allow these things to really get to me as much as they used to, because if you read my book, you will see I've been through some stuff. Let's just put it that way. I have definitely been through some stuff. Yet I don't hold the things that I've been through against the people who have put me through them, because I know that there was a lesson in what happened. And I feel like nowadays that's something that we're not embracing. We're not embracing the fact that some of these things that we're going through and some of these experiences that we're being forced to go through are actually here to make us into better people. Like, okay, so we see how we were oppressed in the past or whatever. Okay, now how do we make sure that shit doesn't happen again? Because sitting here and talking about oppression isn't going to stop it from happening again. At all. You're just making a bunch of noise and not doing anything about it. And I'm really not for that. That's why I don't subscribe to a lot of things. And then I know, like, a lot of people will get upset because I say that I'm not into, like, the Cardi B's. First off, one thing you will definitely notice is that even when I have my nails done, I don't get them done very long. This is partially for personal reasons. Last time I had long nails, I broke my nail down here and it hurt and I cried and it was bad. It was really bad. So, and because I work a lot with my hands, because I'm not a sissy, you know, all my jobs or whatever have been me working with my hands. So I've never really had the place up until, you know, I started doing my own thing where I could have long nails. But even then, I can't function with them. I don't see how people function with nails that are this long. Like, and to me, that's not cute. It's not attractive. And then how do you wipe your ass? I know that a lot of y'all are like, it's okay, don't worry, I wipe my ass. I don't want you to come near me and find out, because the people I've been around who have long ass nails like that are funky and tacky. But we're not going to talk about that. That's their own thing. However, I don't think that these things actually help. And they push this narrative of, and here's the thing, like, I'm one that I will pop off. Like, I have no problem. You come at me twisted. Like, there's this one person in my life, not technically in my life, but they're associated with somebody that I love. They have one more time to say some stupid stuff to me before I show them exactly who Dottie is, and that Dottie does not play when it comes to you talking like you're stupid. Obviously, you're stupid because you're talking to me like you're stupid, because you obviously don't know me. So don't find out. However, I think that there's a difference between that and being out here, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me show you how I got this ring. Like, what do you have to offer? I'm just saying, what do you have to offer? So going back to, like, getting off of the whole, like, this and going into some of the other things that really bother me about the spiritual community is discernment. This is something that is really getting to me, because I'm seeing a lot of people within the spiritual community just, first off, they're only in it for the money. They're only in it for the show. And it makes people who are actually in it to help people, to change lives, look bad, or, you know, whatever. It doesn't help those who are actually in it to help, unfortunately. And it's something that's really, like, getting to me. And it seems that too many people are falling for this because they don't have a discernment. And it's something that I'm having to understand. And it's just, I think it gets to me sometimes, because I have to understand and realize that not everybody is on the same level as me, and not everybody sees the things that it is that I see. And that's something that I'm having to work through within my personal life, because there are people in my life that I feel should see the things that I see and should act accordingly to what it is that I see. And I have to remember that everybody has their own path in life. However, I have gotten to the point where when it gets like this, I step away. Because there's nothing I can do or say that's going to help you at this point, because you're obviously not seeing what I'm seeing. You're obviously not going to act in the ways that need to be acted upon. And to me, that's a problem, because if I'm telling you something, it's normally for your health, because I know how to act accordingly. I know how to move out of the way when I see something. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, when I move, something happens. Like, I'm not stupid. I've been doing this for a lot longer than what people may think. A lot of people may think that I just, like, popped up one day and was like, ooh, let me be a psychic. No, I was born this way. Like, literally was born this way. I've just learned how to tap in and tune in a lot better than what it is that I was in. But I see all these people on places like TikTok, or even on here, like, people who will go from, like, the spiritual community back to the Christian community. And I don't have a problem with that. If that's where you feel at home, if that's where it is you feel that your soul is being fed, then do it. Do what's right for you. Do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yums. I'm just here to help you expand your own consciousness. That's all it is that I want from people, is for people to start thinking more and start acting upon those thoughts, because that is honestly what is going to save so many of us so many times. And unfortunately, we have been disconnected because we're taught so much, going back to the whole masculine, feminine energy. We're taught so much to be in that masculine energy that we don't even know how to be in feminine energy anymore. And feminine energy is where your intuition is. That's why it is that it seems like water signs in particular are super psychic. It's not that they're any more psychic than anybody else. It's just a lot of the times they're more in tune with their emotions. And because they're more in tune with their emotional self, they are actually able to tap into their intuition a lot better than people who aren't, and it just, it gets my nerves, really does, because it's like, unfortunately nowadays it's all about clout. And how is that helping anybody? If we're only here for clout, if we're only here for show, if we're only here for the things that it is that we want to be here for, and we're not actually helping people. And that's what's like irking me, is that a lot of these spiritualists, if people keep on following some of these people, like there was someone that my friend pointed out to me, and she kept on talking about being a Hayoka. And one thing, I'm really careful about people who want to throw out their titles all the time, because most of the time when someone throws out their title and it's just like, oh, I am who I am, blah, 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 they're not exactly who it is that they say they are. They're over here playing games with people, and people are just eating this crap up. And like, when I looked at her, I was like, okay, well, if you are who you say you are, you wouldn't be out here just spreading who you are. And if you don't know what Heyoka is basically what the Native Americans would call a sacred clown. And I'm not sure exactly what tribe it was, so you definitely have to go do your own damn research. So, but it was a sacred clown, and these people use laughter to be able to help people heal. They are the comic relief. But in that comic relief, like my mom, I can say my mom was a Heyoka, because everybody, if you knew my mom, you definitely called her Jack Benny, because she was always cracking jokes. She was always like helping to raise the frequency, helping you to raise the vibration, even though she may not have understood what it was that she was doing or how it was that she was doing it. She definitely did it. And she is definitely someone that if you met my mom, you remember my mom. And that's just because of the spirit that it was that my mom carried with her. So, but at the same time, even though my mom knew she was the Jack Benny, she never allowed that to be. I just wasn't raised by haughty people who are like, oh, I am who I am, like, my aunt might have, like, I was raised with people who had, like, a master's in divinity. I was raised by people who are very, very spiritual. My mom, like, so, when it comes down to it, just be mindful of these people, because just because they say that they are someone, or they say whatever, use your own discernment. And that comes with anybody, including myself. Like, if I say something and like you're like, I don't know, go and pray about it, go and meditate on it. Like, don't take my word for gospel. I'm a forking human. At the end of the day, I am a human, and that's all I can ever be in this lifetime until I get out of this stupid body. But we're not going to talk about that. Some of us just don't like the human experience and are not sure why we're here. I know why I'm here. I just question why I chose to be here so much. Then I hear that there's a waiting list to get on this planet. And then I think things like, if it's because there's a waiting list to get on the planet that I'm not allowed to leave this planet, because I've begged to go home. They're like, okay, well, now that she's done with this little tantrum, let's throw something else at her. But people need to start using discernment when it comes to the spiritual community, because some of these people are going to have you out here lost. And I feel in my bones that though we have gone through a lot over the past few years, there's still we still haven't quite hit the pinnacle of this thing yet. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't feel like we've quite hit the pinnacle of things yet. I feel like there's still more to come. And if people don't start to actually get it right, then people are going to be lost. People are really going to be lost in the sauce, and you have to understand that not everybody who claims to be spiritual is actually about this life. Hence why so many people are like, end up going back to religion or whatever the case is, because they don't understand. Or, you know, I saw this one lady, I guess she used to, and I made a video about her a while back, but she used to be in the spiritual community, and then she basically decided that she wasn't going to do it anymore, and then started preaching about Jesus, but she was half naked. So I decided to talk crap, because anytime you talk about Jesus and you're half naked, obviously you aren't a Christian. Just saying. I was that girl. Like, in all actuality, when I was a Christian, I would never wear anything where I have 2 moles on my chest. If you could see the second mole, I was doing too much. Okay? Now, I walk out the house like a thought biscuit. I have no problem with walking out the house like a thought biscuit, because I am a grown woman. And if you don't like it, don't look. Plain and simple. I'm grown. You don't like it? I don't care. Shit. Anyways. And it's not for, like, it's just... For me, it's like, I spent so much time not being me, not having fun, worrying about what other people think. And sometimes I just like to walk out the house wearing whatever the hell I want to wear. I always make sure that I match, because I have this issue with things matching. It's just how my brain works. I have a Leo Venus, in case you can't tell. I think it's one of the best, worst places for Venus to be. Like, side note, I think it's one of the best, worst places for Venus to be, because I care so much about this. I'm so beautiful, and you can't tell me shit. Even when I look like at the beginning of the video, I was still cute. Don't play. I'm adorable, and I know it. I'm just like kitty cat. Meow. Yep. You know, it wouldn't be in metaphysics, and it wouldn't be anything that stars me unless there was a little bit of goof in it. However, we've really got to change some things. We've got to teach people discernment. For those who are taking pillars in the spiritual community, taking their spots, their places, we've got to teach discernment. We've got to teach people that not everybody is for them, and it is so unfortunate. And I wish that you could just go and listen to anybody and be able to be spiritually sound. But there are a lot of people who they don't have a basis. They don't have an understanding. And even things that I don't necessarily have a full understanding on, I will either look more into it, or I'll let you know. I'm not completely sure, you know? But this is where my brain goes. And a lot of the times, the things and what it is that I feel or think, I will get confirmation behind later on. So, but that's also because I have access to the Akashic records. But that's not something that I really be out here throwing around. I don't throw around who it is that I am. Like I've said on other platforms, I don't throw around who it is that I am. I have a title, okay? I know who I am. I know the spiritual gifts that I have. I don't take and throw them around because I don't feel like that's relevant. What's relevant is, do I resonate with you? Do you feel like you can grow while you're around me? If you can, then let's do it. Let's grow. Let's grow together. Because in all actuality, in my personal life, I am looking for people who I can actually grow with. Spiritually, mentally, physically, like all the things. And especially considering I have worked on like my shadow work. And I have... I don't know why I always want to do like my inner water line. It's so tedious. And but I'm looking for people who I can communicate with, especially considering I've done my shadow work. So now that I've done my shadow work and I've came to this new sense of understanding, and like I realized that I didn't necessarily communicate my feelings, my emotions, and all the things. Now I am, seeking or being open to people who are on the same frequency that we can talk about our feelings and emotions and all the things. Because in my current reality, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have that. And the people that I would like to express these things to, I can't. Because they're just not on the level. And I don't know, it makes me think about all the times that I had people who were around who wanted to communicate like how they felt about things and whatever the case was, and I ran from it because I was so caught up in not wanting to feel emotions. It makes me think about all the times that I had people who were willing to communicate with me and I wasn't in the place to be able to communicate because I wasn't taught to communicate. I'm learning more things as I learn, like, as I grow, because somehow I ended up on like parent TikTok. I don't have kids, but like I ended up on parent TikTok, and I see that too many times, at least in my childhood, I was told things like, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. My feelings were never validated. I was never made to feel like I was supposed to have feelings. And I bottled all this stuff up. And I think it's interesting because I look back and I remember like my mom making mention of like me communicating my emotions. And by that point, by time, somebody actually wanted to communicate emotions and feelings and things, I was so caught up in the idea that if I cry, you're going to give me something to cry about. So, or that my feelings weren't valid because I was feeling big feelings from like a small age, but I was also going through a lot of stuff from a small age. Like this lifetime was not the funnest for me. If I have to come back, I'm hoping like the next time more fun, better people, that like I come back as like one of my grandchildren or some shit and like get to reap the benefits of like having healthy generations moving forward. That would be awesome. However, that idea of if you cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about really impacted me because it made me think, well, if I tell you and I cry, then I'm going to end up in trouble. There's going to be an issue because I cried because I felt something. And I find that too many times this is something that that's so ingrained in us. And it's so sad because, especially as like a Black person, I see that when it comes down to spirituality and spiritual beliefs, that a lot of people are so afraid to leave Christianity, mainly because we were taught back a couple hundred years ago, or however long it's been, that basically if we didn't take Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, that we were going to get beaten ourselves. So we beat that idea into our children. And it seems like somewheres along the line, because a lot of us, that's where, voodoo and all the things were born from, was the fact that we're going to take this, what it is that you've given us, and we're going to incorporate our own thing. And because of that, which it was dope, but because it was beat into us so much, we're now afraid to think or talk about anything that's not Jesus. When in all actuality, it's believed that Jesus studied abroad for his time. You know what I mean? Like, he went to India and studied things like Reiki and whatnot, which I've talked about before in some of my other videos, about the fact that Jesus basically was, well, first off, he was an ascended master, but we're not going to talk about that. But he he had other education outside of just Judeo and education. However, what a lot of people don't realize, and I actually didn't know this until quite recently, is that Mary, Jesus's mother, actually came from like a shitload of money. Like, she was an heir to David's throne, which I know we, for the most part, already know, but like, she had money. And if you watch some of my other videos, you'll understand why that's so, like, because you'll know that, like, oh crap, Dottie really did say this, like, a couple videos ago before she even had, like, an understanding. And that's what I mean, that, like, a lot of the times I may not completely have an understanding. I'm just going off of a theory because it feels right. And then later on, we're just gonna have to do some weird stuff because I can't find the actual thing. So, fuck it. A lot of the times I'll have like a theory and I'll just like run with the theory. And then I will go back and find that, oh crap, I wasn't crazy. But like, she came from money. And she was like, she lived basically in a synagogue. So like, she had a lot of spiritual backing to her. Just saying. However, really, when it comes down to it, none of that really matters. What matters is now. And how is it that we are going to move forward now? Because, as I said, if we keep on creating division within the spiritual community, like, nobody's seeing or understanding that that is not what we are supposed to be doing at all. Not saying that everybody's practices are for everybody, because I believe full-heartedly there are some things that even I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she's very versed when it comes to voodoo. Like, that's her thing. That's how she was raised. However, though she's like taught me a thing or two, I've always been like super nervous. Like, I don't really, when it comes down to it, I don't really deal with deities, and the deities that I deal with are only because they won't stop harassing me. They won't harass me. I wish they wouldn't harass me sometimes, but they just won't stop harassing me. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll look into you and I'll leave you an offering, because I don't know what's going on here, but apparently you won't stop yelling at me. And this happens quite a bit, actually. So, but even then, like, people should be careful when it is that they work with these deities and these energies, because a lot of the times you don't know. And you don't have discernment to know. And that's a problem. And it's like, unfortunately, nobody's teaching people, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should ask, like, hey, are you of my highest good? You know, answer me some questions. Let me know what it is, you know, how it is you're feeling today. But we don't really get into any of that. God damn, I'm so gorgeous. Not Leo Venus, though. She be hitting you with the angles. That was not necessarily the best angle, even though I'm, like, all in it. Dottie's half stupid, y'all. I really am. Like, this is me all the time. So, anyways, those are just my few hot takes and, like, the things that my brain is thinking about today, because that's Dottie. Alrighty, guys. Have a great day. Bye. Sorry, my neighbors have like this little motorbike that they think is so cool. However, Dottie kind of forgot what she was saying.